Hello and thank you for tuning in to this week's MacDesk Floor Report. I'm Rebecca Darst from the Market Access Center, coming to you from the world-famous floor of the New York Stock Exchange on a wintry Thursday, March 7th, 2013. The Dow continues its historic march higher. Today, the blue chips are up 45 points, and that's just over 3 points in the S&P, although equity volumes are coming in a little light today. Recapping the action overnight, we had a mixed finish for Asian indices. The Bank of Japan held off on more easing this morning, leaving its benchmark interest rate and asset purchase fund unchanged, although it issued a more optimistic economic outlook for Japan, marking the third time in a row that the bank has done so. During the European session, the Bank of England and ECB left their respective rates unchanged as well. ECB President Mario Draghi reiterated his expectation of a slow economic recovery this year, saying that downside risks still remain, but that inflationary risks are broadly balanced, and urging Eurozone nations to pursue fiscal and structural reforms. France released its unemployment rate, which was very slightly higher than normal, and the country's trade balance came in a little weaker than expected. Here in the U.S., weekly initial jobless claims came in a little lighter than expected, while the January trade deficit rose to $44.4 billion, just over $1 billion more than consensus. We had same-store sales data out from a number of retailers, with 7 out of 11 reporting companies beating the estimates. While equity volumes have been a little bit light today, option volumes have been stronger. Traders are positioned for less downside risk, however, and that's reflected in a 3% pullback for the VIX, which reads 1311. After the bell today, the Fed is due to release the results of its bank stress tests. As we mentioned in the midday, the imminent release has traders placing mostly bullish bets on the XLF. That's the large cap financials ETF. XLF set a new 52-week high today. It's currently trading at $18.18. And today we've been noticing buyers of $18.50 calls in the March 28th weekly options and $19 calls in the April monthlies. Overall, XLF option volume is running about double the normal level, and it is overwhelmingly call-centered. Now let's take a look at the data points that will be moving markets next week. On Monday, March 11th, we'll get started with February machine tool orders from Japan, along with several German data points in the early pre-market. January trade balance, current account, imports, exports, and labor cost data will all be released. France will release industrial and manufacturing production data for the month of January. We'll also get a final read on Italy's Q4 GDP. Earnings releases are thin on the ground next week, although we will get numbers from Dick's Sporting Goods, Urban Outfitters, Molycorp, and Heckman on Monday. On Tuesday, March 12th, Japan is set to release its February index of domestic corporate goods as well as consumer confidence, a January read of tertiary industry activity, and the BSI large company business conditions read for the first quarter of the year. We'll also get some housing price data from the UK, along with January trade balance and industrial and manufacturing production data, and February consumer price data from Germany. U.S. data includes a February read on small business optimism, January job openings data, and earnings from Costco. Wednesday is a light day in terms of data releases, with France February CPI the only major anticipated release. On Thursday, we'll be looking at January capacity utilization and machine tool orders from Japan. Bloomberg's string of March economic survey data for Germany, France, Italy, and the Eurozone will be released, as well as the ECB's monthly report. Canada will release Q4 capacity utilization data, and the U.S. pre-market will see the Q4 read on the current account balance, January new housing price index, February producer prices, and weekly initial and continuing jobless claims, along with earnings from Aeropostale, Guess, and Carex Pharmaceuticals. We'll close out the week with February Eurozone CPI, Q4 employment and labor cost data, February existing home sales from Canada, and several more U.S. data points, March Empire Manufacturing, February CPI and industrial production capacity utilization, January tick flows, and the University of Michigan confidence read. We'll be following all the activity as it happens here from the floor, so be sure to check your inbox for the midday. Until next week, that's it for me, Rebecca Darst, for the MacDesk Floor Report.